Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics, back with a year in words for June. And this time we get to make a ladybug together and do a little bit of hand embroidery. So maybe that's new to you. And I'll go through the steps of how to do that. Again, if you are just seeing this video, you don't even know what a year in words wall hanging club is. This is something we started at Shabby Fabrics a little bit earlier in the year. And that program has now sold out. So if you're in the club, good job grabbing that spot. And hey, there's more clubs coming up. So if you missed out that time, there is a limited amount of these kits remaining, and we do have other clubs starting pretty much all the time. So be sure to subscribe to our e-newsletter as well. And that way you'll always know about new programs. And of course, all the social media, not just YouTube, but also Facebook, Instagram, and of course, lots of beautiful photos on Pinterest too. So we're going to teach you how to make a ladybug. So you could, of course, be using these skills if you have the kit, but if you just want to be able to do a fun block to maybe incorporate into another project, a table runner or a quilt, this would be a fun one for you, a free download for you. So we've got our fabrics cut. We'll have all those on the free download, the sizes, so no need to worry about what those specific sizes are right now. And I'm going to show you two different techniques. I touched on it a little bit last month for May for the Mother's Day Pansy, where I showed you how to mark a line the traditional way we learned, corner to corner, and then also introduced a new tool to you, the corner clipper. And I'll be doing that again today so that you see the versatility and that option. You can decide if that's an option that you'd like to try in your own sewing room. So we'll start off with our two parts of our ladybug, our left and our right, and we're just going to be sewing those corners on. I'm going to do this side over on my left the traditional way with draw the line and sew, and I'll do the right side with the corner clipper. That way you see the two options, and again you can decide what you like to do. And sometimes I do a little bit of both, so that's okay too, to mix and match. So just like we learned, I will just draw a line. I'll grab, in fact, two of those. I have 4 blue squares. I'm just going to grab those two and mark those. And I have a black that is down in here. Now that one, of course, I'm not going to see on with my friction pen, so I have a chalk pen. This is another reason that you might opt to do the corner clipper in this instance, which will be coming up in part 2 on the other side, where you don't have to draw a line because the corner clipper takes care of that. But in this instance, when I have to draw a line, I like my white Choco pen because I can clearly see the line. So our first step is we'll go ahead in this corner, right sides together. We're going to sew that here, and I also need to be able to sew this down in this corner down in here. So I'm going to go and just make my trip to the sewing machine efficient. I've got my iron heating up. We'll sew corner to corner and corner to corner, and then we'll go to the next step. But let's go ahead. I don't want to lose that piece down there as I move to the sewing machine. And let's go ahead and sew those two right now. Okay, and before I trim anything away, I always like to check. I like to press to the outside. I have sometimes had it where the square shifted just a little bit and I didn't have a nice 90-degree corner. And so it was nice to be able to seam rip and go back. So I always want to fold those to the outside, check it, then I go ahead and trim. That's the traditional way. Once I'm satisfied with that, I just lift that flap back up, trim my 1/4 of an inch, trim my 1/4 of an inch again, and I've got my first portion done. And you can see here, we'll just come back, lay that on there. I'll just pin that real quick so that flap doesn't want to roll back on me. And let's sew again. And again, let's press to the outside. Okay, that's our left half. You can just repeat the same process for the right half, but I'm going to show you an option, and this time we won't be using our straight, our little ruler, our straight edge. We won't be using the marking tools. We're just going to be using what's called the corner clipper. So up here, we're now in this portion. And again, I have my blue square here. Now we know that we would be drawing that line, sewing, and trimming this portion away. With the corner clipper here, notice we have our drawn line, so we'll place that just like we would always would with corner to corner. I can see that line. And I have alignment here and alignment here and up here. And I will cut that. Okay, so I'm going to put a pin in there. So that's this portion. We know this corner down here similarly needs that square, and it's going to be this portion. So I'm going to flip that around so it's a little bit easier for me to manage it. Same process. Make sure your square is lined up onto your rectangle. That's very important because both pieces will be trimmed simultaneously. I always encourage you, by the way, if you are going to give this product a try, just use it on some scrap fabric. Give that, till you're feeling confident, and then go ahead and use that on your kit. Let's put a pin in there, and we'll sew corner to corner, corner to corner, just like we did before. Trim those threads and press to the outside just like before, except now we won't have to go back and trim. Remember how we did that? We pressed to the outside, made sure we liked what we saw, and then we would go trim. Well, we don't have to go trim anymore. We can just move right away on to the next step. I find the corner clipper to be super accurate, and it helps speed up my assembly process because I'm skipping that step of now rolling the flap back. Well, first off, I didn't even have to draw the line. So there's many steps that are now consolidated, saving time. Because of course, there's a lot of other projects that I want to sew as well. And I know the same is true for you. So we're just like this. And now our final square is going to be here. So again, if you envision, this is where the line's going to be. And this is the part that's going to be cut away. And if you need a little reminder, it's okay to just draw a quick line and say that's the part that's going to be the waist or the part that's cut away. So let's go ahead and just turn that, lay that guide on there. Cut. Let's head over to our machine. Okay, so let's press to the outside. And now we can assemble our two halves to get our ladybug together. So we definitely want that point right there, those two black points. That is absolutely must happen. So I'm going to pin there first, so that doesn't shift, and then make everything else fit around that. All right, so let's go sew that together. And now for that center seam, let's go ahead and just press that open, and we'll distribute that bulk evenly. And of course, now you would just repeat that 3 more times until you have the ladybug bodies. You can either complete the whole ladybug block, including that top portion, or complete kind of the bottoms, whatever you want to do. I'll certainly be, there's hand embroidery. So once you kind of start the hand embroidery step, you want to be doing all of them. So I think that's why it's nice to, once you get the piecing down in your technique and you figure out how to use your corner clipper, I kind of keep going with those steps and then get that portion done. So I'd get all of my 4 ladybug bodies done. And then once that's complete, you'll have another piece here. And this is one of your laser shapes. It's the head of the ladybug. Let's just peel back that paper. And if you want to really have that exact center, you could give it just a touch of a crease if you wanted to. And a touch of the crease here. Again, not absolutely mandatory, but if you really like alignment, and I always like a lot of alignment, that's what I tend to do. And I'll just place that in the very bottom because it'll be sewn into the seam allowance. So go ahead and iron that down. Once that's done, again, do all of them, because then you're going to come back and you'll need to top stitch using your thread inside your yarn wall hanging thread set. If you've selected that, of course, you're choosing the black, and we just did a straight stitch around that. And you do all of those at the same time, and we'll place this right sides together. And I'm going to sew from this side so that I can see all of my seams. Let's just go sew that together, and we'll complete that. And then I want to show you how to do the hand embroidery. And then you can see this kind of wants to press that way, so we'll go with that. And there's our ladybug. How cute is that? Once you have that done, now as far as the antenna go, and I'll just work with this one right here since it's right in front of me. This is where you'll go back to your diagram, and of course inside your pattern, and if you have the kit, inside your kit, you have your tracing diagram. By the way, if you are in our club or you've gotten our kit, you don't need to worry about the tracing diagram for the applique, because everything inside your kit is already pre-fused and laser cut for you. None of that is anything you have to worry about. You can just punch it out, and here's your beautiful letter G, and everything else you need, and you're on your way. Simply peel off the paper backing and you're on your way. Love, love, love laser cut. I love that I get to jump into the fun parts that make me the happiest. Okay, on the assembly diagram, once, of course, you'll be using that for your layout, but right there is our little detail for our hand embroidery. So that's when you can just bring that back, and my light box it's my largest light box, the Wafer 3. That works really well because the project is nice and long, and so when this is turned 90 degrees, I love that it can fit on the whole strip can fit on there, and I see all of the entire applique background and all of the letters and everything at once. But we'll be using this portion now to trace on our hand embroidery detail with our friction pen. The Wafer Lightbox series comes in sizes 1, 2, and 3 with the smallest being 1 and of course the largest being 3. So depending on the size of projects you use, you know, if you're doing a lot of tracing, a lot of applique placement, I would just encourage you to grab a light box because it surely makes the process so much more enjoyable. You can see what you're doing, you can see where things belong, and the placement is nice and accurate. All right, once that's traced on, now we just grab our Richard Hemming embroidery needle. And we have a couple strands of embroidery floss. I've just simply put a knot in there. And we're just going to do a back stitch where we're coming up. And I go down a short distance, about 1/4 of an inch, maybe even a little bit less, and definitely less when I'm in a turn. Now I come down. I am less than 1/4. I can see that now. I come up, and now I come back toward myself. This is why that stitch is called the back stitch. You go out and you come back. You go out and come back. Just like that. And again, come back. And as I mentioned, as you continue on, especially as you're starting to do that tighter curve there, you can be taking a little bit of a smaller stitch because remember, we're doing straight lines to give the illusion of the arc. Do one more here and then I'll just show you how to tie off in the back. I always try to split the line with my needle and I take my time until I get that. That's what helps the line be straight. So once you continue on all the way to the end, I just tie off underneath the very thread, the very floss, excuse me, that I just used. Now this is different than the thread that's in here. This is an embroidery floss that I'm using. And the pattern will guide you. It's usually 2 or 3 strands. But if you like a thicker embroidery, just use more strands. There's 6 strands in a skein of embroidery floss. So you have up to 6 to choose if you want. I double or triple knot that, just like that. And then go ahead and trim that. Once your blocks are done, you'll sew your 4 ladybugs together. Measure the length of that. Of course, you've cut your background bigger than you need for your applique. Using your light box and of course your layout diagram, you'll lay out all of your letters and shapes, going ahead and stitching those down with the thread inside the applique thread set. And then you'll trim that applique background to whatever the length of your ladybug unit is. Sew those together and finish as normal. So thank you so much for letting me show you how fun it is to make these ladybug blocks. And hey, if you're new to hand embroidery, there's a lot of other tutorials we've done on hand embroidery. Be sure to watch those, find those on YouTube, lots for you to be inspired by and to practice. And there's lots of close-up photography on that as well. So I'll see you next month. We'll be making a beach ball for a year in words for July. I'll see you then.